What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of In the Wild. I hope your semester has been going well so far. I'm excited because I'm still teaching and there's been a lot going on there, but definitely check out my podcasting class if you're interested. But enough about me. Today we are talking about the College of Nursing because if you guys weren't already familiar, the College of Nursing is the flagship college for nursing in the state of Georgia. They are leading the pack when it comes to setting the best and brightest nurses out in the field. And as a lot of you guys can probably guess, that is a career that is always in need of new nurses. So we do a great job of putting out some highly trained, highly skilled nurses. And today we are getting to talk to two alum. The first is a really special guest, Dr. Beth NeSmith, because she is the Dean of the College of Nursing, and she has been around the university for quite some time. I guess, tenure of being Dean is somewhat relatively newer for her, but I'm so excited because she's so cool to talk to, and I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about all of the cool things that they have over at the College of Nursing. And our second alum is a friend of mine. She's back on the show, Kendall Green. She is amazing in so many ways. She was an alum, also faculty member for a little bit, and has so many cool stories and experiences. And I can't wait to catch up with her because, when you become an adult, you don't get to talk to your friends as often. So she's a really cool person to talk to. So I'm excited to talk to both of these ladies, and I hope you're ready because here we go. Welcome, Dr. NeSmith to In the Wild. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
As one of our deans. So just diving right in, can you start by telling us a little bit about what inspired you to pursue a career in the field of nursing?
Wow. My dad, I think, was a science nerd, right? I grew up watching Nova on PBS, and we watched a lot of medical shows. And interestingly, a local radio station here always talked about the trauma center at MCG, right? And come to find out, that was just so very exciting to me. And we had this resource here at Augusta University, and I was like, I want to be a part of that. That's exciting, right? So when I became a nurse and worked at MCG's Trauma Center, I would know what happened the night before, and I'd be going home and listening to that same radio station talk about what happened at MCG Trauma Center. I was like, yep, I was involved in that. I know about that. So I'm an adrenaline junkie, right? And so I've always been an emergency room nurse, trauma nurse, loved it. Yeah.
What was it about just being in the emergency department and trauma that just appealed to you? Because for some people, they're like, I can't handle that. I'd rather deal with the different side of patient care.
It was both sort of a science kind of thing and an excitement, curiosity thing. They say people who have their PhDs have them because they're curious. I've always been curious, right? So from a science perspective, the science of patterns of injury and predicting injuries based on the kinetics of energy transfer, like when somebody gets shot, you can see how that bullet trajectory goes and how the tissue expands, and you can predict injuries based on what you know about that. So you could totally nerd out that way, But then the curiosity piece of me, what's coming in next, right? What's different about this one? Car crashes are amazing, and people with their stories coming in and how I can help that. And then they go on to be admitted or go home or whatever, and the next one comes in. There is never a dull moment. And you get a camaraderie of working with individuals in that kind of setting. You care about one another and you're in the team. In some ways, I imagine, I've not been in the military, but I imagine it's sort of military-like, right? Your troop or your team gets together in the trenches and you're caring for people. You see them get better and you're like, man, we did that, right? And so it's extremely exciting and fulfilling.
I love that.
Yeah.
What was that transition like from being a practitioner to now being faculty and eventually now being dean?
Yeah, right. I know. So I guess listen to me here. I'm hearing myself. Science is the common thread, right? I really enjoyed pathophysiology, right? And so from learning about pathophysiology in my science classes, predicting injuries and recovery as a nurse, to teaching pathophysiology to students who are in nursing and helping them experience that same thing. And my research has even been sort of pathophysiology based, right? It's chronic stress prior to injury on the inflammatory response after injury in trauma patients. So that science thread comes through, but also sharing the passion that I experienced as a nurse with students who are as excited as I was as a young nurse or a newer nurse. That is absolutely fulfilling. And I love going to graduation every year. That's how we talk about how we get professionally fed, to see students hit that milestone, right? And have the joy that we experience. So I think in a quick explanation, that's how it happened.
Yeah, and I guess just thinking broader here, our College of Nursing has a rich history,
Oh
definitely has
yeah.
a big impact
Oh
on
yeah.
the state of Georgia and just Georgia healthcare. What would you say sets our programs apart from anywhere else in the state?
Yeah, so our programs, there is a need for 2,000 nurses just in our CSRA.
Oh, wow.
2,000 nurses just around here, right? And so our program is sort of, I like to call it start to finish from a whole career. In fact, I had a meeting today talking about career trajectory. So you can get your entry level degree, a bachelor's degree in which an individual is prepared not only for nursing, but for leadership. That's what bachelor's does. You can get a clinical nurse leader degree. That's for somebody who has a bachelor's in something else and they're like, I think I want to be a nurse. 18 months later, you can exit with a master's degree, clinical nurse leader certificate, and sit for the certification, and sit for the RN degree, for certification, the RN licensure, right? So that's BSN, CNL, and then if you decide you want to be an advanced practice nurse, that's a doctorate of nursing practice degree. We have 7 concentrations
Oh,
in that
wow.
program, right? 5 nurse practitioners, nurse anesthetist, nurse executive, if you want to be a leader from that perspective, and then for individuals who are advanced practice individuals but want to get that degree. So that's 7 concentrations. Then on top of that, we've got the PhD. If you want to be a new knowledge developer, right, and a nursing scientist, and I have really enjoyed that because, gosh, look at the research that we have at AU already and collaborating with these individuals. My research on the chronic stress piece, I collaborated with basic scientists right here at AU to say, hey, this is what I want to measure for my trauma patients. How do I measure this enzyme or this gene? And they collaborate with me and we measure it together and it's been lovely. So that's what AU offers right here. You don't have to go, our basic scientists are on this street, our didactic is on this street, our clinical is right there. You don't have to go anywhere but walking distance in a
Right.
few blocks, right? Yeah.
That's really cool. And I agree. I definitely think that sets our programs apart because once upon a time there was a little boy named Rayshawn who wanted to be a nurse.
Right? Oh,
Uh,
great.
Life had different plans for me,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
but in high school, because I had took all of my classes to get my CNA, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come in to one day nursing school, and I'm gonna already have all of this like foundation built up, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
take
yeah.
on the world. But life had different plans. So I have a lot of deep respect for just the field and what you guys do, and just interacting and saving patients' lives. Like,
Yeah, well, that's the other cool thing about nursing because there aren't many degrees. If you get bored in one area, like if I'd gotten bored with emergency nursing, I could go to a completely different area like home health in the community with my same degree. And so it keeps a person excited about the work that they do, you know?
and can you talk a little bit about some of the hands-on training that our students would get to experience? Because obviously with this field, there's a lot of hands-on experiences.
Right. So, with Augusta being the hub of medical training, there are so many places where we can go to get clinical experiences. The students start out obviously with didactic, right? And then the neat thing is we have a world-class simulation center. If people haven't been there before, they should absolutely go. Interdisciplinary, top of the line sim center. So our students go there and they get to practice in a safe space, right, about different patient scenarios. We want them, that's the place to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Or, something untoward happen and we say, awesome. Here's how we change that around. And in real life scenario, you get to fix it and you can feel confident with it, right? And so then after the didactic and the sim, then they go to any number of, world-renowned clinical scenarios. We've got great psych mental health clinical experiences because we have veterans who have been military exposed, and so they have needs, right? And then we've got our level 1 trauma center, our level 4 neonatal care center, tertiary care center from around Georgia. So they get clinical experiences that they can get nowhere else.
So for those watching, definitely consider all of your options here because
Right?
there are so many.
Oh, there are. Again, that's the beauty about a nursing career,
And like you said before, I didn't even realize there were so many different concentrations for the doctoral program.
Oh, there are. So, I really love because I'm an acute care person, and that means in the hospital type thing, right? So if I loved emergency room nursing, trauma, ICU, that kind of thing, but I want to be an advanced practice practitioner, I can be an acute care nurse practitioner and stay in the hospital, collaborate with my physician colleagues, and and provide care to those patients myself, right? So acute care nurse practitioner is wonderful. But then if you're more maybe a community or public health individual, you can be a family nurse practitioner for primary care. Those individuals get so much satisfaction about what they do because they care for families and they know families, and doing that in a rural setting, it meets a need around Georgia that we need so much. And then there's the certified registered nurse anesthetist. You had Dr. Broxton on your show not long ago, right? That is an amazing career, and they have salaries like you wouldn't believe, right? Especially if you go into the rural area. So nursing has so many options. And then, like I said, the PhD person to be able to develop new knowledge that provides the foundation for our practice is great.
I love that. And I've asked people this before, different deans, but for your college, if resources were no object and you could just add anything to the College of Nursing, what would it be?
Like programs?
Whether it's a program or a facility or just anything,
Yeah, right. I think I'd add more to grow our acute care nurse practitioner programs, because that's a need in the healthcare scenarios, right? For people to know what those individuals bring to the table for an adjunct and to advance healthcare access is huge. So and really our partnership with Wellstar is doing beautifully from there. We've got some really great ideas that we're going to implement here soon, and to be able to add resources for those individuals, for students. I'm a first generation college student myself, right? And I was thankful for the resources that the University System of Georgia and our employers right here in Augusta provided me. I'm a 3-time alum of Augusta University, right? And those resources allowed me to do that as a first-generation college student. So I would add those resources, especially too, there's a lot for the BSNs and our pre-licensure folks, but for PhD individuals to be able to take that science further and support them, because they're often working individuals too, trying to go through and get their PhD in nursing. So lots of ideas there.
Lots of ideas.
Yeah.
And for prospective students who are just saying, I want to not only become a nurse, but I want to become a nurse at Augusta University.
Yeah.
What would you tell them to prepare, or any best tips that you could give them?
Yeah, it helps to volunteer. I did that because I wanted to see the different areas. I would also like to see. I've personally spoken to. I love talking with individuals, just like what you're talking about, right? If people are interested in nursing, I love to have them come and talk to me, and so I can share with them exactly the same things I shared with you. Because what we found is the thing that people are most familiar with, the bedside nurse in the hospital, is about that much of nursing, right? People don't realize about that clinical nurse leader program I told you about. They don't know about the need for psych mental health nurse practitioners, the certified registered nurses anesthetists, the PhD. I heard one time when we were collaborating with our basic science colleagues, someone said, what does a PhD in nursing do for you, right? And it's the same as like physicians who have an MD, PhD. Our PhDs in nursing have advanced degrees, and they go forward and they collaborate with folks to make meaningful research. They translate that basic science research that people are doing to improve patient care and change practice. A lot of people don't know that that's available in nursing. So I would love for people to come talk to us, reach out to us. Again, that's one of the other things that gets us professionally fed, right?
There's a world of opportunities in the field of nursing. But before I let you go, I think it's only fair,
Yeah?
as one of our deans, that we play our another
Oh,
round of Guess the Deans.
great. We'll see how I do.
Yes, I'm sure you're going to do great. All of the deans have done great. So I'm going to read out the current dean's alma mater,
Okay.
a fun fact about them, and when they became dean.
Okay.
And we'll see who you can pinpoint.
Okay.
So, first up is a graduate from Georgia Tech,
Okay.
has been dean since 2017,
Uh-huh.
and has served in the military.
John Sutherland?
Correct.
You're right. That's great.
See, you're a pro already. Next up is a graduate from Texas Tech University,
Okay.
dean since 2023, and makes their own wine.
Teresa Waters?
No.
Oh. Okay, let me see. Texas Tech makes their own wine. Not Mark Austin. Okay. I don't know.
You're getting warmer. I'll give
Okay.
you one more try before I give it to you.
Before you give it to me. Okay. Kim Davies.
Mark Thompson.
Thompson.
So-
The Marks was right, right?
Yes, you got the mark
geez.
right. You got the mark
I
right.
saw him today. I'm going to have to go talk to him about making his own wine.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Next up is a very proud graduate from Ohio State University.
Oh.
I think you already
Can I hit the button? Right?
I'm going to finish reading you. I know
Okay,
you
go
know who it is.
Right.
Has been dean since 2021 and is a Lego master.
Yes, now I know. It's Kim Davies. She's a Buckeye through and through, right?
Absolutely. All right. See, you're doing really great at this.
Yeah.
Next up is a graduate from UGA.
Okay.
Has been dean since 2019 and faculty since 2003. And has twin sons.
Oh, Judy
Yes.
Wilson. Great.
Let's see.
Whose sons, by the way, are nurses.
They are.
Right? Great.
Of course you would know. Of course you would know that. Next up is a graduate from Johns Hopkins University.
Okay.
Dean since April of 2017. Faculty since 2001. And is a diehard Phillies fan.
Lester Pretlow?
No.
No? Okay. Phillies fan. That might be Mark Austin.
No.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Second strike. Who am I missing? Diehard Phillies fan. Oh, goodness. Let me see. I don't think.
I'll give you a hint. They
Yeah.
are on the health sciences campus.
Oh, is that Dean Hess? Yes, I should have known that.
Yeah,
there we
you should.
go.
You should have known that
Yeah,
one.
I should. That's great.
All right. Next up is a graduate from East Tennessee State University. Dean since 2023, and they are an alum of their college.
Okay. Oh, an alum of their college. East Tennessee State. Okay, because I had somebody pop in, but that's not it. An alum of their college. Oh, I don't know who I'm missing.
I think you and this person are the only alums of their college.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You've stumped me.
Any guesses?
No.
Health Sciences campus.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I've talked about Dean Hess.
Right?
I've talked about Lester. That has to be Dean Young.
Yes.
Oh, really? That's right. I do know because she has her ring on from DC Dental College of Georgia.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
All right. I think we're running out of time, but we're going to squeeze in one more.
Okay.
This is a graduate from Brown University, has been dean since 2018, and drove a cab in Manhattan to earn money for their college tuition.
Does this person also have a wonderful voice? Right? Dean Alex Schwartzman.
Yes.
Right?
See,
Great.
you did great.
Okay. I don't know. I maybe got a C, I think. That's all right.
Dr. Hess is going to be like,
I know. Come
you
on.
should have known that
Right.
one. But thank you so much for being here. Any final
Yes.
thoughts for just all the amazing work that y'all are doing in the College of Nursing?
You know, we are on the rise. We're doing some good things. We're opening some new programs. Our CRNA program, as Dr. Broxton told you, well, when she was here not long ago, she didn't know it. She didn't know it at that time, but we're getting ready to grow again. We're going to be one of the top 5 largest programs in the nation.
Oh, wow.
And so we're doing great in the College of Nursing.
I can't wait to see all the cool things that y'all are about to do.
Right? Yeah.
So thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much. I certainly appreciate it. All right, good stuff.
All right, Kendall, welcome back to In the Wild. This time
Hi.
we get to see you because the last time you were on the show was just audio only.
Yes.
And we were chatting before about how much the podcast has grown. So welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Look, you're one of my favorite people to talk to because I just think you are so cool with all the experiences that you've had, whether it's like travel or in nursing. Like, you're just one of the coolest people that I know. And speaking of nursing, could you share a little bit about your journey with a youth program? Because you've had a couple of different experiences as a student, but also faculty as well.
Yes. So I originally went to the University of Georgia. That's where I started out at, and got accepted into nursing school, and started in 2014. So I was there as part of their BSN, their standard BSN program, and went through that for 2 years, graduated in 2016. So it was a great experience. I met a lot of people that I still continue to chat with today, and the professors were all really nice, and I have maintained connections with certain professors there that have given me opportunities like later down the road, which I'll talk about. But great program, and in Augusta and the Augusta University, WellStar system. It's like a microcosm, like in itself, right? Like there are so many disciplines there, downtown and other, satellite places. And so being in Augusta has allowed me to have so many opportunities, just within healthcare. But upon graduating, I immediately took my NCLEX and started working at then Augusta University Medical Center, and was there for a while, majority of actually of my nursing career thus far. So being at Augusta University, the medical center has given me even more opportunities within the system, so my whole career, basically my whole heart is like in Augusta. I started there, and have so many experiences there, right? So it's been really fun. It's been like, challenging at times, but I've grown so much, as a nurse, and I've been able to take those talents elsewhere, so It's been really cool experience so far. And now I'm over 8 years out, from that time, so almost 10 years, and I look back on it, and there's just so much, that I've learned and have gotten to experience, both personally and professionally.
So, just thinking professionally for a second, what would be some tips of it or advice you would give new nurse Kendall? Like first day out of college, like what would you tell her to like prepare for the field?
So maybe it's cliche amongst like the nursing students, community, but like what you learn in nursing school, I won't say it's like vastly different, but it's such a change from like real world nursing. I don't know if I went into nursing, like, I'm a new grad nurse, knowing that everything was going to be like textbook cookie cutter. It's not always like that. Like a lot of it is learning on the job, and you're going to come into contact with patients and family members and coworkers and physicians and people of other disciplines, and you have to kind of like take in those experiences. Everything is going to happen for the first time, as a new grad, and so I'm the type of person, I have the personality where I'm like, I wish I could just like skip to knowing everything and not having to have those kind of like first experiences, but those first experiences help you grow, and you're going to have, even now, I have first experiences all the time, and I've been a nurse almost 10 years. So, um, looking back, if I were to tell my younger nurse, new grad self, I would tell myself to just prepare for those new experiences. And that's hard to do, because you come out of nursing school and you're like, I'm going to know everything. I learned this, in class. And yeah, I maybe saw it in clinical, but you're eventually going to be on your own, and you're going to have to learn how to, handle things, obviously with community, but knowing that, hey, I am a nurse, I do have autonomy as a nurse, and some of these experiences I may have never experienced before, so that can be a little difficult to grasp. But I think that's one of the first things, I would tell myself is to just be comfortable being uncomfortable, especially, as a nurse. There's so many things that we do, so many roles that we play, not just, handing out medications and talking to family members. I mean, there's so much that we do that a lot of lay people don't know that we do, they don't know the behind the scenes, like, as a nurse. And so there's just so much that we handle, and every day is like a new experience. So that's one of the first pieces of advice that I would give my younger self as a new grad.
Yeah, earlier we were talking to uh, Dr. Beth NeSmith, who is the newer dean of the College of Nursing, and she was talking about like, yeah, like a lot of people will kind of assume that just bedside manner and just that bedside care is what people picture nurses to, like that's their entire experience. It's like, no, there's so much that happens with patients, but also outside of patient care or the bedside part of patient care. Are there any other misconceptions that you kind of feel like you have to debunk with people where they just think like, oh, y'all just do
Right. Or that we don't do anything, if we're sitting at the nurses
ah
if we're sitting at the nurses station, and we're just like, on the computer, like we're charting, we're making sure that like vital information is being put in the chart. We're looking at notes, we're looking at labs, like, we're not just like not doing anything, and like you mentioned, like there's that common misconception that, you know, we are just supposed to be, bedside individuals, that when you see us at the bedside, like that's all we do. But I mean, oftentimes we're doing tasks that sometimes pharmacists do, or sometimes housekeeping does, or sometimes respiratory does. And so there are so many roles within our scope, as nurses, that we have to do sometimes when other people can't do it, So um, I think there's just a myriad, a plethora of things, of roles that we play, but it all encompasses like nurse, like the nurse role. So, yeah, like when we're there, working just 3 days a week, isn't just 3 days a week, that's the other common misconception, we're often doing 12, sometimes 16-hour shifts, at the hospital, dealing with with patients and their family members, and like I said, other disciplines. So it's a 24/7, role.
Yeah.
And it can be very taxing, even if you think it's 3 days a week, is so simple, it can be very tiring and very taxing. And so that's why I'm a huge advocate for work-life balance. But I digress. I think that that is those are common misconceptions as a nurse, unless you're in those shoes, or you've experienced perhaps a loved one um, being in the hospital and you're being there with them, then it's hard to kind of imagine, the role of a nurse. But those are some common misconceptions I think I try to debunk, every day. So,
Yeah, there's like a million I feel like that I debunk with podcasting because people always
sure.
assume that, this is just the or this is the only interaction that I get to do, or this is the
Yeah.
only part of the job. And it's like, there's so many emails that I have to send
Yeah.
out every day, sitting in front of my computer trying to make sure things are, all aligned and coordinated. But
Sure. Yeah.
that's a different
Exactly.
conversation for a
Uh,
different day. Um,
Conversation for sure.
but are there any like standout experiences that you had just, I guess, on the student side, whether it was like a clinical rotation or didactics or whatever the case may be, that just like really stood out in your brain when you think of your time here at Augusta University?
Um, I think I remember specifically, actually. There was a trip we took to Anniston, Alabama, I remember, and it was like a disaster preparedness
Oh, okay.
um trip. So it wasn't necessary, it was part of a course. I think it may have been public health. I'm not 100% sure, but that would make sense for it to be public health. But yeah, like we all like got on a bus and like stayed overnight. Yeah, in Anniston, Alabama for the I think it was like their Department of Health, or no, Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, that was like
Oh,
one of their sites, and so we were able to learn about like biohazardous materials and how to triage and things like of that nature that could possibly happen. It was very much like a disaster preparedness type of situation, and what we would do, right, as nurses, if we were to be in that particular situation, like if we were having to triage patients and things like that. So I remember specifically that trip, and that being like very interesting because I had never had any experience with that, right. um, and as we know, there's disasters everywhere every day, and sometimes, you are on call or you're on the shift and you're in a hospital in a state where you have to deal with that. I mean, look at, Hurricane Helene, and
yeah.
having to deal with, natural disasters. It doesn't just have to be, a biological or biochemical, it can be natural disasters. I think those are some of the most common disasters that we see and have to deal with, as nurses living in those affected areas, So I think that was an interesting thing that I learned. I think it was my senior year of nursing, so that was really fun. That was really fun.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with Hurricane Helene because one, I feel like it definitely could have been a lot worse for us, but also just thinking about that time where, hey, street lights were down and people
Yeah.
still had to travel to come to work, especially,
Yes.
nurses and healthcare workers in
Correct.
general.
Yes.
Like
Exactly.
they were really, stepping out in some, dangerous, like precarious situations to
Yeah.
make sure that their patients and their people are taken care of. So, yeah, shout out to all of y'all that, to answer that calling because a lot of people would say like that,
Right.
not like would never do it.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. For sure.
And I guess backtracking a little bit, like how did you know just the field of nursing was for you? Like out of all of the degrees and all of the career paths, like how did nursing stick?
Well, it's funny you ask. I love answering that question because nursing was actually something I never wanted to do. My
Oh,
mom is a
really?
nurse, and she works under the WellStar system and has for over 30 years. And so, um, I remember when I was at UGA, she asked me like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? I was in my sophomore year, and I said, I don't know. Like I was a biochemistry major at the time, and I always like picture myself like in a lab or like research or something like that. And she was like, "Do you really want to do that?" I said, "I don't know. Like, I really don't know." So she's like, "Just apply to nursing school." I was just, I was like, "Okay." It was just so blah blah blah. I think AU was like the only school that I applied to because obviously like I lived in Augusta at the time. Like I got my application in like the last week. Like it was very last
Oh
minute.
wow.
And then I got in, and have zero regrets. Zero regrets. I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. Being a nurse, and because there are so many opportunities, even today. I'm like, do I want to switch disciplines? Like, because I have that freedom. I have that freedom to just like do what I want. There's so many things that you can do with a nursing degree. Public health. You can work in tech. You can be a bedside nurse. You can work remote. Like there are just like so many things you can do as a nurse. And so I love saying I don't have the typical like I always wanted to be a nurse story because I don't. Like I'll be the first to say like I don't think nursing was ever on my mind until like I applied and like got in. But like I said, almost 10 years later, like it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. Like it's allowed me so much flexibility. And like you said, like I've traveled for leisure. I've traveled all over the world for leisure. I've traveled for work. So it's been so fun. It's been like the things that I wanted to do, the life I want to live. So
Yeah, and speaking of travel for leisure, because you're obviously one of the best people at it. You have gone all over the world, and
yes.
um, I guess like how do you balance that, or just really in general, just how do you balance your life outside of nursing? Because it can be a very taxing
It is
career.
very taxing. And so when I was at AU Wellstar, um, I was there for some years and I accumulated some time and I thought, hey, like I have some money saved, I have some time saved. Why don't I just take a trip? So I took a trip with one of my girlfriends, and I think that was like 2017, and that really just sparked like my love of travel. And so I had super supportive managers, even when I went back to school to get my MP license. I had very supportive managers that allowed me time off, that allowed me flexibility to go to school, to do my work, to travel and take those vacations when I had time. And so, for me, the biggest thing has been setting boundaries. Throughout like my nursing career. I'll do my time. My 3 days a week, my 36 hours, and if I desire to pick up, then I pick up. If I don't, I don't. Like I don't make it a priority for me to overwork myself, because we have heard, especially during the era of COVID, about burnout and nurses being overworked and not knowing how to deal with this pandemic that's going on. And it was just so much. It was so much at once. And so how I maintained my sanity, was just setting boundaries. I'm going to work my allotted 3 days a week. I don't feel obligated to work any more than I have to, right? I'm living within my means. Like I'm not I'm a single female with no kids, and so that makes it a lot better too, you know. And so yeah, it's just setting those boundaries, and when I need a break, I take a break, and I go travel somewhere because that is something for me that I enjoy, right? So whatever it is you enjoy, traveling, you know, painting, whatever, whatever you like to do, like outside of your work, I think it's so necessary, and will definitely like help your mental health. We're now in an age where there are so many people who deal with mental health issues, and I think that it's just so important to find an outlet, that allows you to just like calm your mind, and travel is one of those things for me. And so I love it. Like I said, I've been so many places and have met so many people all over the world, personally. And so it's just been so fun. It's been so fun.
Do you have any travel plans already booked, locked and loaded?
Yes, I do. Yes. So for Christmas, my family and I are gonna go to the islands. That's gonna be fun, and I'll have some time off after that. And so we'll see what 2025 brings. I don't know. But for now, yes, Christmas break. I'm gonna be spending it in someplace tropical and
Nice.
warm. So that'll be so fun.
Yeah, the weather here in Augusta is always so weird because we don't get to experience like a full fall or winter,
Right.
but it's also not summer and it's also not spring either. So it's just really weird. So just the thought of having somewhere tropical to go sounds really nice.
Yeah. Ugh, I love it. I can't wait.
Before I let you go, just any final thoughts about just your experience at the College of Nursing and just kind of venturing into the field and being a practitioner?
Sure. So there's opportunity everywhere. I'll say that. I think that's one of the biggest things that I had to learn because, as someone who has held several roles, like within AU, I used to be scared sometimes to kind of like go after like what I wanted or thinking I was like underqualified. Um, I spent several years teaching, at the College of Nursing, being an instructor. And that was one of my favorite things because I love teaching. I love students. I still keep in contact with a lot of those people who have
Oh,
gone on to travel nurse, to also get their nurse practitioner licenses. And, I had a little part in that. I had a little part in that. And so, um, I was able to speak at I think it was the 2017 commencement speech for the College of Nursing, and so that sparked a lot of things as well. So I worked within AU as president of their shared governance for a short period of time, and have been the charge nurse. I mean, even on the grassroots, like floor level, have been a charge nurse, have been a preceptor. So I've held several roles, like
she's done
even
it all.
I know, yes, I've done so many things. Even being so young and being, um, someone who's like fresh out of nursing school, I was able to have opportunities afforded to me, and so I'm very thankful for those people who like, saw that in me, and also just thankful for myself for like going out there and saying, hey, like I really can do this. So, my advice to people is like even if you think you're underqualified, you're not. Like you have it within you, to pursue the things that you want to pursue. Sometimes it's not right now. Sometimes it's later down the road. Sometimes it is now. Like, sometimes you just have to go after that opportunity and, like I said, make yourself like comfortable being uncomfortable and putting yourself in those situations. Because the worst thing you can do is learn from it. Like the worst thing that can happen is you learning from it. And so I'm learning that every day, to just go after what you want. There's so many opportunities in nursing and we need people. We always need nurses. And there's so many fields you can go into. So just go after what you want, go after what you want and no harm done, no harm done.
Well, thank you so much, Kendall, for chatting with me. I can't wait to
Yes,
see
of course.
all the photos that you're going to take from
Yes,
your
so
upcoming
great.
trips. And just, yeah, thank you for all that you do for uh, making the College of Nursing look good. Because
Of course. Yes. Always.
all right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I really enjoyed talking to Dr. NeSmith. She did a great job with Guest the Deans. I thought she was nervous a little bit, but she knew these people. And I always enjoy talking to Kendall. Like I said before, she's super cool. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Whether you are someone that is considering studying nursing here, don't hesitate. Check it out. Check out their website to learn more information. There's plenty of people and contact information on their website to talk to about a specific concentration or specialty because, like we just learned, there's so many options in the world field of nursing. And just, I don't know, catching up with Kendall is also really great. So let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about just the field of nursing. Has this episode changed your mind on the perception at all about what they do, how they do it, and all the options? So let us know how we did on our Instagram at In the Wild Pod. If you like this episode, let us know by liking, subscribing, all of those things. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Go Jags!